Okay, so this is the last chapter in a story of 50 years, the ongoing story. I always like to say that Congo is a healthy place to live in. Would you believe it? Why? Because we only have organic food, no pesticides, no artificial fertilizers, and no additives in our food,
It's all prepared from scratch.
no insecticides or herbicides. But you do need to understand security situation. You need to know areas of town which are a little bit uncertain. You need to probably never go out at night. You need to avoid the outlying roads in the area. And you need to know how to avoid all of the infectious diseases we have in Congo. We had a number of epidemics in our time there. Cholera. We had an outbreak of cholera on the shores of Lake Albert. And all of our students, all of our fourth year students were asked to go down to the lake to help the local authorities there deal with the outbreak of people being given drips under trees, treatment given outside because the hospital was absolutely full of people everywhere. But as students came back after 3 days, we said, how come you've been able to come back so quickly? They said, as soon as the people decided they needed to boil the lake when they drank it, then the epidemic finished.
That is, as soon as the people accepted the teaching of our students that they were to boil their water, then the epidemic finished.
We did a survey of toilets and discovered that many houses didn't have usable
90% did not have a usable toilet.
First indication of Ebola was in 1976, and we built an isolation village, decided who was going to work in it, serve it, but we never received any patients. The outbreak was quite okay, so we never used that. Later on, we've had little Ebola outbreaks. We have had patients in hospital. We had an outbreak of plague. Plague is transmitted by rat fleas. So the way you attempt to improve the situation is to put out flat boxes with no lid on them. The rats might be encouraged to go in if you put some bait inside, and you fill the box with DDT. Don't want to kill the rats. We want the rats to go back into their burrows and meet other rats. Puts the DDT into them.
Want to kill all the fleas.
We have a lot of malaria, and we're trying to avoid that with the use of bed nets. And bed nets seem to have made a big difference in Africa. There seems to be about 49% of the quantity of malaria that we had 10, 20 years ago. Typhoid is a continuous problem with the water, and we have taken out water filters and in an attempt to cure this endemic problem.
Friends of ours with Water Ambassadors Canada came out and installed some chlorination units for groups, so for the hospital and for some churches and for some schools. And that means that the whole community in that area is able to be served clean drinking water. And so they are less tempted to use local water like a contaminated spring that would give them typhoid fever.
We believe meningitis is being misdiagnosed. Meningitis gives you a bad headache and high fever. And people diagnose that as being malaria, give lots of malarial medicines, and it might be quite a few days before they twig to the fact that this might be meningitis. And these cases of badly treated meningitis lead to deafness.
And currently in 2024, the School for Deaf Children, one of the schools for deaf children in Bunia, has 176 deaf children learning American Sign Language.
So we want to talk about the Progresso School for the Deaf. It actually started at Nyankundi before the war of 2002, moved to Bunia after the war, and Nancy was invited to provide some weight on the financial grant application, so she signed her name, and she's got increasingly involved in the school since then.
There we are, a very humble little village where Progresso School for the Deaf began in Bunia. They had tried meeting under tarpaulins, but the wind tended to blow them down very easily, and the sun made them deteriorate. That didn't last very long. But at the time, the school only had about 25 children, and the 4 or 5 in first and second grade would face their teacher in one direction, and it was all done by sign language, so there was no talking. And grade 3 and 4 faced a different direction, and grade 5 and 6 faced a different direction. However, seeing this very humble building, we decided that it was very important to try and build something more suitable for them. Well, here we are. The director of the school, Mr. Dara, is one who was trained in the early 1980s in Nigeria in American Sign Language and returned to Congo and has been teaching since 1985, but in Bunia since 2001. And these are 4 young ladies, 1, 2, 3, 4, who are in the final year of secondary school at his school. He felt that stopping at 6th grade primary and giving them sewing lessons, he knew that they were capable of more. And now I can say that Uweka, the second one, has become a teacher of other deaf children and does very well. They all learn to sing, not as you and I would understand it, but they can sing together as a group. Basemi is a hearing person. Dive is deaf, and but the deaf people can hear the rhythm and feel the rhythm through the floor, and so they can hear the rhythm and join in with sign language and with those who can sing vocally. Ideally, a classroom for deaf children should be the size that this one is, but have only 8 children in a semicircle so that all can easily see the teacher for the facial expression and the hand of the sign language. However, there have just been more children than that ever since we moved into this primary school.
Many of these are displaced children, internally displaced families, children of internally displaced families, and the government has been encouraging all schools to take in more students so that everybody can get some kind of an education. All of these children, whether they're hearing or deaf, they will all learn sign language.
Water is, of course, very, very important, and I made a request for a team to drill a well on the school property so that especially those who stay overnight, the orphans who stay in the dorms overnight, would have a good supply of water for hand washing, and maybe even for some of them to take a liter home with them. So a well was drilled and was very successful, and there's a good supply of water this day. here it is, the new primary school, which has been occupied since 2012 and has 6 classrooms, but 1 is used for a dormitory. And there's an office in the middle, which has been shared now with a computer lab. And in 2013, I took out computers from Bob Rumble Center for the Deaf here in Toronto, and we were able to put up some solar panels and bring them down to connect them to batteries and give power for the computer lab to keep 8 computers charged at the same time. But the 6 classrooms were hardly adequate, and so another building, this building was put up, and it has 1 classroom, the boys' dorm, and an office. We always celebrate the International Day of the Woman on the 8th of March with great joy, and the staff provide me with a matching piece of cloth, and we have a program, and a picture is always very important. Early days, well, after we were into the school, one teacher, Ochai Te, had said, since I met him first in 2005, he said, I want to be a pastor. And but he was teaching in the meantime until we could see an open door. And someone visited the school in, about 2018 and said that there's a Bible school for the deaf in Kampala. How many candidates do you have? Well, Ochai Te was first to offer, and off he went. He was fiancé to Irashan at the time, but she was prepared to let him go and wait for him. So he went off to Bible school for 3 years and thoroughly enjoyed it. We ourselves, Philip and Nancy, went to Kampala and looked for and found the Bible school. And sure enough, there was a teacher teaching 5 students in American Sign Language. So he got his Bible school training and came back to Congo. Due to COVID, he had to wait at least a year for ordination in 2023, but Deaf Ministries International was given the authority to ordain valid deaf candidates. And so he was ordained in July of 2023. And then the Bible school in Kampala finally arranged a graduation, and he went there for his graduation from Bible school. And he came back, and right at the end of September, he took sick with a bad headache, but no fever. And we suspect he had a brain aneurysm that bled, and he died in October of 2023. The loss is very significant for his family, for the school, for his wife, and for his baby daughter. She is hearing. She can hear even though mom and dad were deaf. Another aspect of ongoing ministry is the scholarship program. The primary purpose is to upgrade teachers in the nursing college and doctors' qualifications due to government regulations. One of the staff of Centre Médical Évangélique is Joseph Rona, and he was ready for his master's, and he was able to do that in Nairobi, but spending a lot of his time with his family. Due to insecurity, he had to move them from Beni to Nyankundi. Beni to Bunia, yes. And he continued his studies and was successful in obtaining a master's in leadership.
But he's continuing to study at the moment?
He's taking his PhD in leadership and management. Dr. M.A., the executive director of CME, specialized in obstetrics and gynecology in Moshi, Tanzania. But the government in Congo says that a specialist degree is only a master's, even though it took him 4 years. And to be a full teaching professor at Shalom University in Bunia, the Christian faculty, he has now gone back to Tanzania to begin his PhD. He needs 3 months living in, and then will do much of his research in Bunia and correspondence courses by Zoom, but it will probably take him 3 years to get a PhD in obstetrics and gynecology. This is Dr. Sammy Nigo with Philip. He went off to Cameroon. We sent him to Cameroon for 5 years to study surgery, and he was highly recommended by his teachers, very steady in his Christian faith, and they would have liked to keep him, but we kept in touch with them and let them know how much we really wanted him back in Bunia to be our first trained surgeon to replace Philip. And so he came back in January of 2019 and has been doing an excellent job.
I've operated with him a few times and have been very impressed with his surgical techniques, and he seems to be doing excellent too.
However, the government says he too needs a PhD, and he has done much of the coursework for his online and is organizing his research project at the present time. Ulma is the head midwife in the maternity, and she too needed to upgrade her qualifications, and so she went to Uganda Christian University and the Save the Mothers program for a master's in public health leadership in Uganda. She had to be resident for 4 separate months in the course of 2 years, and the rest of it she did with courses online and written assignments while she was doing her regular job in Congo. She has graduated and returned and found several important roles she can fill now that she's recognized as a midwife with a master's degree.
She's just recently been appointed as the secretary for the Midwives Association for the whole of Congo. She had to go down to Kinshasa to organize a conference for them, and she's a very capable lady. She's with her husband.
Her husband, Robert, did not want to get left behind. He was older than the criteria that we would accept for sponsoring a PhD, but he managed to persuade his family that he should study, and he has now finished his master's degree, first of all, and a preparatory year for his PhD, and in January 2025 will officially begin PhD for 3 years, focusing on anesthesia, which he has done since he became a nurse. Dr. Samuel was the medical director of CME Beni with a second associate, and is a very capable person, and was doing an excellent job as the medical director. But he too could see the need to specialize, and so we sponsored him and his wife to go to Uganda. And while Samuel did his 3 years in surgery. His wife did 3 years in pediatrics. And they have both come back and integrated into the team in Bunya, with spending 1 week a month in Beni to help out the small team there. Little Nathan has grown. Next picture. There we are with Nathan. Baraka, Samuel, and Zawadi, his wife, Nathan, and little Nancy. A delightful little lady who's joined the family.
So we're really needing these PhDs, particularly for the University of Shalom in Bunya. The government is trying to raise standards in medical colleges and other branches of the university, and they're doing it mainly by putting pressure on teachers to get higher qualifications. So here is the board of the University of Shalom in Bunya, and the number of faculties that they possess and the courses that they offer. They've recently built a building especially for the Faculty of Medicine, 2-story building, and there it is, and some of the students outside, I believe, at the opening of the building. That's where they will do all of their theoretical education towards their MD, but they will do their practical experience with us at CME, at the hospital, Centre Médical Évangélique, and we're working in partnership, Faculty of Medicine and the hospital.
There is a family doctor from Indiana, USA, who has a real gift for teaching medical students. And from the first year of their doctoral studies, she takes them to the hospital for their entire morning. They spend all morning there, and then they get more classes in the afternoon. So that's first year medicine, second, third, and in fourth year, the medical students spend all their time in the hospital, rotating through the different services.
Here now, these are some of the courses which are available for students. The undergraduate courses in nursing, in laboratory technique, midwifery, pharmaceutics, and administration and public health, and some other branches as well. And then we do have a higher level, which has been called licence, which is changing at the moment, but that's one step towards a master's, and they will be offering masters in that area.
One of our colleagues at the nursing college in Bunya is Jonathan, and he graduated from Nyankundi School of Nursing back in about 99, and then he went on to his licence when the ISTEM, the Institut Supérieur, opened in Nyankundi. No, I'm sorry, that should have been 89 when he got his first nursing degree. And then in 94, he went on to get a further degree in community health. No, community health was also in Nyankundi. And then he was given a chance to do further training in Liège, and it's called a superior diploma in education. And then he was ready for his PhD. So in 2018, Jonathan and his wife, Janine, and Olivier on the left, and Vicky moved to Yaoundé, Cameroon, for Jonathan to begin his PhD.
And it took him 6 years in all to get his PhD, and a lot of wasted time at the end fixing up the defense of his thesis, but he passed with honors. And while he was in Cameroon, his wife did a master's in obstetrics, gynecology, and she is now teaching midwifery at the nursing college.
We expect Jonathan to be back at the college in December 2024, and starting his own teaching as a PhD in January 2025.
One other benefit for this family of going to Cameroon was Vicky. Vicky was not a great student at school, but going to Cameroon, she discovered a course in hotellerie, how to run a hotel, involving quite a lot of cooking as well as administration. A course that she couldn't find in Congo. But she thoroughly enjoyed the course and is now back in Congo and is working in a hotel.
Another member of staff at the nursing college is Jean-Pierre. In the middle there, very highly decorated. He went on, while doing his daytime job at the college, he went on to do his master's in Christian leadership at Shalom University. 2 weeks, a year, for 2 years, and then a thesis. And he defended his thesis this particular day and was given high honors as well. And the 3 smallest children there are his 3 little boys. On the right is Dr. Kibuka, the academic dean of Shalom University, who directed Jean-Pierre's thesis. And then the gentleman on the left organized his defense. Chakisa, another member, another nurse, teaching at the college in Bunia, was eager to get on to further studies, and he went to Cameroon, to Yaoundé, and he now has a master's in infantile health. He needs a prep year in 2025, and in 2026 will be ready for his PhD in infantile health. Another couple whom we have sponsored for quite a few years, Dr. Sammy Kobinama, was accepted for a place in Dakar for cancer surgery. And he spent 7 years perfecting his skills in cancer surgery there. And his wife wasn't quite finished medical school. She joined him a year and a half later, Judith, and she decided to study pathology, which could be called a specialty of studying biopsies. And so she did. For 5 years, she did her study of pathology, and both of them have returned to Bunia to be on the staff of the hospital, Dr. Semi in surgery, and Judith heading up the pathology department. Yet another scholarship recipient is Simon Mbappe, who has in 2024 graduated with his master's in pharmacology from Mbarara University of Science and Technology, and he will be going to Nairobi in January to begin his PhD in pharmacology. Leonie has been on staff for quite a few years, and she exceeded the age of those that we would accept for a scholarship, but she learned about a master's, a 1-year master's in gynecology in Kindu, of which 6 months is online and 6 months is in person. And I believe she has been to Kindu. It's not easy. You have to take 1 flight from Bunia to Goma, and then another flight not connecting immediately to Kindu for her 6 months training there. But I believe she does have her master's in gynecology.
She is one of 9 different teachers at the nursing college who Kinshasa said could no longer continue to teach because they were actually graduates from the college and they had no further qualifications. Government insisting that you need at least one academic level above your graduate courses in order to teach.
So that was announced in about January of 2000. Out of the 9 who were lacking what they needed, only Leonie and 1 other pursued this 1-year master's because some married with small children could not manage the 6 months of absence in Hindu. But her children are grown up and she was able to do it, and 1 other. This is the family of Christian Machozi, who is the accountant for the nursing college. He's been at the college since about 2009 and has been doing an excellent, consistent job. The finance department now has 4 people working in it instead of Christian all by himself. While he's been working full time, he has also been working on his master's in Christian leadership and expects to finish in 2025. This is Christian, the accountant. His wife on the left is Christelle. Their daughter in front of her mom is Christiana. The new baby is Christella. And beside Philip is Christopher and Christagie, resemblance in their names and want to follow Jesus all the way. Dr. David Mutanga, we sent him to Mbarara, Uganda for his training in ophthalmology, a master's in medicine, and he completed his 3-year program there and has worked in a couple of different cities in Congo. He may be negotiating something else in January of 25. Who gets sent away for training and whom the college can possibly allow to go and leave a gap is quite a challenge to figure it all out. But we have our plans, and they are continuing with about 5 more staff should be able to obtain their PhD in the next 4 years.
But this program is very expensive. A lot of these studies, particularly PhD studies, the fees, academic fees, are very high. And Nancy has the responsibility for encouraging gifts and of administering these funds with the help of EMAS, E-M-A-S, organization in Burlington, here in Ontario, and they help us give charitable receipts for any money that's given, and the program amazingly continues year after year. Enough funds come in to enable us to keep going.
Our budget is now 20,000 Canadian dollars a month. And by God's grace, his faithful followers contribute, and we keep on making it.
So for ourselves, ever since we retired from full-time service in Congo back in 2012, we have gone back to Congo each year for a 3-month visit in order to teach. Teaching subjects, particularly in the nursing college, but also some teaching in the medical faculty as well. They do seem to suggest that our visits are an encouragement to them. They say, no one ever visits us here. They do feel somewhat isolated, but a visit from well-known faces is a great encouragement. And there are lots of opportunities. We have taken people with us, particularly a professor from Montreal, fluent French speaker, to organize the laboratory, histopathology laboratory, and write up new instruction sheets as to exactly how it needs to be done, and giving us lots of little tricks to make the job easier. But other people, we've had an English speaker, English teacher. Everybody in Congo wants to learn English at the moment because there are many more opportunities for further education and opportunities to go over to Uganda, which is just some 75 kilometers away. We're looking for volunteers to go with us as we go out, usually January, February, and March each year. And when we've gone, we often cross the Rift Valley, big Rift Valley that runs right north-south through the middle of Africa. And there's lakes in the bottom of the Rift Valley. The lake closest to us is Lake Albert. So it's a question of going down on the bad Congo roads, one side, taking a boat across Lake Albert, and then up much better road the other side, up the other side of the valley to Fort Portal. And this video shows you that journey. trust that you've enjoyed these presentations. And unfortunately, we can't show you the video Mama Luca comes home because of copyright restrictions. This is the group that we gave these talks to in Toronto Metropolitan University, October, November 2024. We've recorded them afterwards. These are not recordings actually at the event, but this is the class that we taught, and they seem to thoroughly enjoy it. It's